Hello everyone. It's wonderful to have all of you here again for the session. And yes, I'm here with the Gav Newalkar on the stage with us. And hi, guys. I hope you are having a great time here today.
Hi,
And
everyone.
yes, yes, a bit more introduction about Gaves. Gaves is playing an important role as in hands-on development, leading a team of engineers as well as interacting with product to ensure that banking products are running in a smoother way. So we will have a lot of Q&A with Gav Newalkar, but after his presentation. So today we will let's as he has shared the screen, and after his presentation we will be interacting again with him. So guys, you all of you can put your question under Q&A session, and yes, you can raise your hand, and that way you will be directly interacting on the stage with the Gabe. And so I'm leaving the stage. Stage is all yours, Gabe. Now I'll be joining you again after some time for the Q&A. See you
Excellent.
then.
Thank you, Bindu.
Bye.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Gav Newalkar, and I'm a tech lead at N26. My presentation this evening is going to be the life of a card transaction at N26. A quick intro about N26 for those of us who aren't too familiar with what N26 is. We are a banking platform, very prominent in the EU space and growing very rapidly in the US. We were founded in 2013, so we're very mature. We have 7 million customers globally. We were launched in mid-2019 in the US. A few key features of N26 as a banking platform for our customers. We have no hidden fees. We have a network of 50,000 plus ATMs around the country, as well as internationally, from which you can withdraw money whenever you want for free. You can get paid 2 days early in your direct deposit from your payroll. And we have a budgeting mechanism via a concept called Spaces that allows you to save up for your vacation, that large purchase, whatever is necessary. And we also have a really strong cashback platform, which allows you to get money back from prominent merchants around the country. To find out more, please do visit n26.com and sign up. My presentation is primarily aimed at technical people. So those of you who are curious about the fintech space, interested in neo-banking, or wishing to join a fintech organization, a modern banking organization. So I will be using somewhat technical concepts, but my presentation is not necessarily technical in any way. I'm using this more to elaborate on the cool items you can learn by working in the modern banking space, as well as the cool technologies you get to play with at the same time. A question we get asked quite often is, are we remote? And yes, we are fully remote. So please join us if that is your thing. However, we also have an office in the New York area. So if you live around that area, you are more than welcome to come and commute into the office if need be. We make debit purchases within supermarkets, grocery stores, gas stations, a whole bunch of places without necessarily thinking about what actually happens underneath the hood. And for the most part, life goes on with that knowledge. We assume that a card transaction is made, the request goes to your bank, checks are performed, do you have enough money in your account? Assuming you do, an OK transaction gets through and life goes on. The advantage of working within a modern banking space is that you get to understand a little bit more about what actually happens in this space. So let's expand this a little bit and take a look at what happens within a typical banking organization. So yes, a card transaction is made at a shop, petrol, gas station, wherever. That actual message gets processed by Visa or MasterCard or Amex, Diners Club, whichever company is providing that actual network layer. And that message goes to your bank. And your bank will parse the various message formats for Visa, MasterCard, and so on. The bank will then perform verifications. So when you work in the banking environment, you understand that there are checks more than just the balance. For example, is this a potential fraudulent transaction? You get to learn about how that gets calculated. Then how does money move in and out of accounts so that the account is debited correctly? And then proceeding as normal. For the most part, this is how a typical brick and mortar bank will work. And at N26, it's not too different, except for us, you get to learn more. So at N26, just like a normal bank, your card swipe, instead of going directly to coming to us from Visa, MasterCard, we've partnered with a card processor. So you get to learn about how to interact with a card processor, which unifies the messaging from Visa, MasterCard, and all these other players to come into N26. You get the opportunity to learn about the different types of transactions, how they work, how they differ between a restaurant purchase as opposed to a gas station purchase, as opposed to a simple online merchant purchase, and so on. Followed by verifications. You learn about exactly what verifications take place under the hood, how they're developed, and what goes on behind the scenes. Account deduction, same as before, and the OK. However, beyond just the simple card swipe lifecycle, there's a lot more that goes on in parallel. For example, at N26, whenever a customer makes a card transaction, we have a push notification system. You get to play with this system by learning about exactly how the push notifications work. You get to play with the different types of messaging, the translations that take place. For example, at N26, we offer English, Spanish, Italian, French, and German at present. And you get to understand how that process works with all the language translations whenever the wording changes, and so on. In terms of the push notifications themselves, you get to play with the different formats for iOS, Android, and the different versions. Whether or not you can send emojis, which is important. Spam prevention to make sure that users don't get too many messages at the same time. All these intricacies are interesting challenges you get to learn by working in the space. Similar to this, we have cashbacks. So if you make a debit purchase at a prominent merchant with whom we have a business relationship with, we actually have a whole set of merchants from which you can get cashbacks. You get to work on that system and understand how we give a customer's cashback. So for example, if a customer buys shoes at Nike and we happen to have a promotion with Nike, say 2% off, 1% off, whatever it may be, you get to learn about how that matching takes place, how we intercept and know which merchant it is from the wire, which may not be as apparent when you have third-party payment services like PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and so on. There's interesting technical challenges in being able to parse out the actual name of the merchant. And then the actual payout itself, because the cashback doesn't happen straight away, because a customer might buy something, then return the article 5 days later. So there's mechanisms to make sure that we ensure fair cashback delivery twice a month, and that deals into how that's calculated. You get to work with those systems with reconciliation, payouts, and so on. There's also ATMs. So, besides just buying something from a merchant, people use their debit cards to withdraw money. If this is a free ATM, so N26 is partnered with Allpoint ATMs, which is a network of 50,000 plus ATMs around the country and globally, we need to detect that. And it's interesting understanding on a coding level how this happens, because we have a partnership with Allpoint, and there's data that needs to be massaged so that we can accurately determine that this ATM is an Allpoint ATM and therefore don't charge the fees a person would normally get. We also have need to make sure that the data set is kept in sync with our partner in an ongoing concurrent basis, because as you can imagine, ATMs get added around the country and old ones get decommissioned. There's also interesting code in terms of how we perform the lat-long geographic placement. So within our app itself, there's an ATM locator, which opens up a map, and around your area, all the free ATMs available to you. Providing this data and how it's presented is also a very interesting system that you get to learn by working at N26. Beyond that, there's also bank reporting, AML reporting, where you get to, AML, by the way, is anti-money laundering. So the financial crime prevention team, you get to learn about how calculations are made to make sure that a transaction is not fraudulent, and how that works in terms of reconciliation, sending alerts to different teams, account closures in case it is a fraudulent transaction, how that works with customer service. And you get to interact with a lot of different departments, customer service, legal, product, and a whole lot more. So what I've talked about so far is just cards. By working in the modern banking environment, you learn more than just cards. For example, ACH. How does money actually come in from your payroll provider into your bank account? How does money transfer from one bank account to another bank account from different banks? You get to learn all of that. I touched upon financial crime. How does that get resolved? How is that detected? We have a product called MoneyBeam. So if one user has N26 and another user also has N26, they can transfer money instantly, and you get to learn about exactly how that works. Similar to Venmo for those who are more familiar with that. Just like that, we have a whole plethora of products that we've built and are building, have a pipeline with a really strong and excellent product team, with a whole bunch of products we're aiming to build which is why we want to grow our team and get more and more developers on board. So I've mentioned the advantages in terms of what you can learn from the neobanking space by joining N26. But let's talk about the technical side of things of what you get to learn. So first and foremost, we are a completely microservices organization. We have no cold storage or any servers within a room or a storage facility. We are completely cloud-based, and we run on AWS. Meaning that you get to work in a distributed computing environment and all the challenges and cool parts that come with it. Working with us, especially on the back end, means that you get to learn how we write microservices effectively, primarily with Spring Boot as our application server, Postgres as the database, and Kotlin as our choice of backend language. You get to learn about how our systems talk. We are beyond just RESTful API communication. We are a event-driven organization, so we rely heavily on queuing messaging systems. You get to learn about this and you get to play with it. Most of our events are in Kinesis for those that are the more technically minded, although we are migrating slowly but steadily to Kafka. You also get to learn about how we monitor our systems. As you can imagine, in an environment where you have a lot of microservices interacting with one another, you need to be able to monitor them and figure out if things go wrong, how you can fix them, and so on. For that, we use Kibana as our logging aggregated framework, and we use Datadog heavily for metrics, event tracing, monitoring, and so on. If none of these terms are familiar to you and you are more on the technical side, either a junior or another organization using different technologies, we encourage you to learn this, and when you come on board, you'll be able to learn all of it with our peers. So don't worry, don't sweat if you don't understand most of these right now. You also learn how we deploy. We deploy all our services in AWS, in Docker, orchestrated by Kubernetes, and Jenkins as our development pipeline. So you get to play with the latest and greatest things. We don't have old systems in COBOL or whatever else. Everything is fast, everything is beautiful. A point I want to touch on, because we get this question quite often from developers, is Kotlin. We do not require, although this is our primary language of choice for the backend, obviously Android is Kotlin as well, iOS is different, web is different. But for the backend, we do not require that you have experience with Kotlin. We've had engineers that have joined us from Node.js backgrounds, Python backgrounds, Java, of course. Even if you're a C# engineer and so on, like, it does not matter as long as you're willing to learn Kotlin, and you're not going to regret it. It's a pretty cool language to write in. At N26, we have a culture of learning. We are heavily indexed on learning because we want our engineers to grow. We have a learning budget, so much so we give you a learning budget of $1,500 that you can invest in books, courses, or even conferences as you please. It's up to your discretion, so long as it's relevant to learning. We also have a concept of GSDDs, so Get Stuff Done Days. If you have an idea, whether it's crypto, AWS Lambda, excuse me, or any ideas that you want to bring to the table, we have, excuse me, we have every 6 weeks, we have Thursdays and Fridays booked out for our engineers where you can present your ideas. All meetings are canceled, and it's your time for you to bring your ideas to the table and talk about whatever you need to, learn about whatever you want, and write your own software. We also have a culture of RFCs. Now, these are requests for changes. You can think of them as mini white papers. And what this is a culture of sharing knowledge. So whenever we build a new system, we present the actual article itself in terms of what we're building to the broader teams in Berlin, Barcelona, and Vienna, so that we can collaborate and share and get ideas from one another in terms of whether we can do it better, if there's any existing mechanisms we can use, and so on. All in all, we're a very learning positive culture. We embrace it. We enjoy when people join our ranks and bring new ideas, new fresh ideas. We highly encourage that. At N26, we do have large teams in Berlin and Barcelona and Vienna. However, in New York, we're a small team. We're a small team, which means you have a much bigger impact. All I mentioned above about card transactions, ACH, etc., the whole works, you get to play with this. You get to learn about it, you get to play with it, and all the technologies associated with it, which is the advantage of working in our team, because it is a little bit like a startup within a startup. We do have a large team in the EU space, and from there you have a pool of talent from which you can draw resources. You can use them for your own knowledge growth and help. For example, if you don't understand anything about Kotlin, we have dedicated Slack channels for that. I know that iOS have their own channels, so does Android, web, and so on. Any topic that's necessary, you have a pool of engineers that are willing to help you, willing to guide you, and so on. We are growing. We're hiring very heavily, and we have an ambitious goal of staffing more than 70% people. We want to grow our US staff by 70%. So we are actively hiring. We have open positions at the moment. I focus more on the back-end side of things, but we also have front-end, such as web, iOS, and Android. We also have data science roles, QE roles, excuse me. What was I? Excuse me. QE roles, database engineers, and so on. So please join us. And my voice is about to break, so.
No worry, we are just going with the flow. It's amazing actually to know N26 with the help of Gav. So yes, you carry on, but yes, since we are running out of time, I believe we would love to hear you. And I would also love to invite people. They are having some questions here, but if you want to share more, yes, please go ahead.
Absolutely. So.
So, shall I go ahead with some questions? I'm having here some questions.
Oh, yes. I can see one now.
Okay, great. So, Kev, Ivan, actually, thanks a lot for this session because we got to know many things today. I mean, especially the modern banking system, and you shared about the culture, the activity, how the people, like the investing in that, like they can learn more, the culture of learning, especially. So amazing, actually. And I'm sure people here in this session have yes, there is a question, and the people who are here in the session has get a better idea when they will be applying for the job which is N26 is having. So yes, we are having a question here, Gav, N26 is using any JS technologies like React.js, Node.js, etc.?
I believe, yes, in the web side of things, we do use React.js. For Node.js, I'm not too sure. I have not encountered Node.js just yet. That is not to say that you can bring that technology along if you can use your GSDD to prove how that might be a better option than something else that we might already have right now.
Okay. Okay, so if anyone else having a question and would like to join on the stage, or we will be pleased to have all of you at N26 booth. There N26 is hiring and recruiters are there. Please feel free to meet with them. And yes, I think we are like we will be continuing for the next session, Gav. And I must say thanks a lot for the great insights. And yes, we all will be continuing at the booth and with your team, which is recruiters team is there, HR team is there. We will be meeting with them. So thank you, Gav. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.